of Musselwhite Consulting, and we have the pleasure today to introduce a friend, mentor, and a person who's actually responsible for some of our success, a gentleman by the name of Scott Fox, who is the founder of Click Millionaires and author of several books, including Internet Riches, E-Riches 2.0, and you can tell I'm looking at my library over here.
Right.
The most recent one, Click Millionaires. And
Right
just
up here, too.
There they go.
nice.
Yes. Perfect.
And just a real quick note. When we decided to take our leap of faith and start business for ourselves, Scott's information, Scott's books were, I think, the catalyst to the change that inspired us to take that leap and go for it. And here we are a few years later, having reaped the benefits and the reward. And the only regret that we have is that we didn't take that jump so much sooner and earlier.
Well done. Well done.
So today, Scott, like we talked about, really this is just a quick conversational interview to talk to folks who are either contemplating getting started with an online business or have got started an online business but don't yet have the level of success that they were going for. Like we talked about, I think there's been a lot of distractions in the marketplace as to what is the right sequence, what's the right focus. And with your vast knowledge and background and some of the experiences we had, I thought this would be a great place to have a conversation today.
Sure. Happy to be here. Happy to help. As you know, that's my favorite topic, so we can talk as long as you'd like.
Perfect.
So with that being said, what is the driver, what is the catalyst, or what, let's put it this way, how should somebody start?
Well, I think today the biggest challenge, as we were talking about, the market's changed a lot in the last few years. So the problem today is you can get overwhelmed so easily, especially if you don't have perhaps a business background. You might feel really intimidated by all this business stuff you're supposed to do. And for example, I just got a question like an hour ago in the clickmillionaires.com forum, somebody saying, should I go and incorporate? It's like, well, yeah, but don't incorporate till you have a business at least, you know? I mean, don't get an idea, like you were saying, get a strategy together, right? So the thing I think is most important now is a saying somebody much smarter than me, I think it might have been Stephen Covey said, if you lean the ladder, you want to climb the ladder, right? But if you lean the ladder against the wrong wall, you're going the wrong place, right? You got to find the right wall first. There's some clever metaphor in there. I hope that makes the point. But the idea is to get the strategy together first. And I think the biggest challenge today, given all the competition online, is figuring out what niche to target. There are so many directions you could go, and you need to find a niche that offers revenue opportunity for you, but also matches your own interests. And finding that overlap between the circle of your interests and hobbies and expertise and audience interest that's interested and has a strong enough need that they'll pay you, finding that niche, that's the number one question in my mind. Because if you can find the right niche, a good wall to lean the ladder against, then anything is possible. But if you do the opposite and just start marketing and building stuff and incorporating, and you haven't found the right niche or the right wall, then you're just wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels and wasting a lot of money too.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Early on in our career, that was I think the path that we were initially pursuing was, well, you've got to go out and get incorporated. With right or wrong, that was just what was sort of built in as, well, that's what you do.
Right.
It wasn't until we sought counsel, and the cool thing was this attorney was, I guess, a non-traditional attorney, because he talked us out of incorporating at the time, which I didn't anticipate. I expected we were going to pay several $1,000s, but his whole focus was, look, where you guys are at right now, you're newbies in your business. Those dollars need to be directed towards other things.
I like this guy, an honest attorney.
Absolutely, a rare one.
We were shocked.
And it ended up, instead of paying a few $1,000s, he basically sent us back to find an insurance agent that could help us with liability insurance. And instead of spending, like I said, $2,500 to set up our LLC, we simply bought a $500 a year, $1 million liability policy, which covered us. Right. Which, by the way, we ended up bringing with us when we changed, the business structure, because you've got to have that thing anyway. But at the time, I'm so thankful, because those dollars were redirected to do other things that helped us out tremendously.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, and when we met you, we were on a different path. We were selling a product online, which was awesome because, you know, you helped us along the way and taught us a lot of things on what to do. But, you know, since then, we have morphed our business into, you know, a different area. We're no longer selling that product, but we learned a lot along the way, and, you know, we definitely have you to thank for that.
Oh, well, thanks. It's been my pleasure working with you guys. It's been years now. I was trying to think. I think it was 2009 we met the first time, right? So,
Yeah.
And we're still here, both of us. Good news.
That's a good thing.
You know, our evolution actually, I think, is indicative of what a lot of folks will experience online who haven't done the homework exercise like you're talking about. We had passion and desire to get out of corporate America, and we're chomping at anything that came along, and we found a product and thought, hey, this just makes sense. And we actually had some success with it. But over time, hiring different folks to do different things for us, it learned us some sometimes costly, but valuable lessons either way you cut it.
Right.
And the evolution for us became one day the light bulb went on, and that, well, we're really not interested in selling this product as much as we are helping folks to develop their business.
There it is, the helping folks. That's the, and you know, that's the thing, the philosophy that underlies everything that I try to do. And it turns out that helping people is actually the best foundation for any sort of service, obviously, but also for business too. Especially when the internet has disintermediated so many of the distributors and all the layers of business. What you're left with at the end of any equation is, can I help somebody or not? Because if you're not helping, nobody's going to pay you. And it turns out that helping, doing good, it can also lead to you doing well. And that's a really exciting breakthrough, I think, especially for small entrepreneurs like us who, well, we want to help people, right? I don't want to rip people off. That's not my business. I want to help people. And if I can make money helping people, that's a win-win for me and for the customer. It's, in fact, as you guys think, you know, the new book, Click Millionaires, has 7 lifestyle business design principles in there that I've used and a lot of our members have used to build businesses that are purpose-driven. They're putting their goals first and building a business around that rather than just cashing a paycheck, right? But that first principle is help people, and I think that's a fundamental building block that I think is more true than it was 10 or 20 or 50 years ago when you worked for some big company. You were so far from the customer that you didn't really help anybody but yourself. You were just trying to get a paycheck and benefits and move up the ladder, right? But today you can actually, just like this, we can reach directly and help people, and that's cool why you're doing the series too, right? To help people,
Yeah, absolutely. You know, joining Click Millionaires, you know, back in 2009, I mean, that's what the community is based on, which is awesome. I mean,
Right.
you know, we all help each other. So, you know, you help us, and then everyone in the community helps each other. So, I mean, that's been just a huge blessing to us.
Yeah, for those watching this, if you've not visited Click Millionaires, it is the camaraderie in that community is invaluable. And there's and Scott explained to them, I think there's a free side and there's a pay side. So how do they find it?
Right. Well, thanks. I'm glad you guys are there, and we really value having you guys as members, as you know. ClickMillionaires.com is the free forum. Well, it's not entirely free. You have to buy one of my books. Honestly, it's not so much that I need the book sales, but I want to know you're serious. And for $14 on Amazon, you can get any of my books, you know, and they'll be at your door tomorrow. But you need a promo code, and then you can get into ClickMillionaires.com. And it's a forum with a couple thousand people from all over the world, and you just ask questions. And on top of that, there's the Masterminds group, which is $39 a month. And that's a much smaller group that I moderate personally. And we work with people directly to help them build their businesses, figure out their lifestyle goals, and translate that into a business that they can own online to generate income in the long run. And the bottom line is helping people. And I only let in people who are nice. So it's really friendly. It's not one of those intimidating places where everybody knows so much and they're trying to, you know, show off by how much HTML they know or whatever. It's friendly, and we're trying to help each other, and you'd all be welcome, of course. So.
Right. I think, again, a point to make on that is, as you touched on, it's folks from around the world. We've talked to people in Europe, people in Florida, people in Texas, and people just, you know, in California and Canada, all over the place. And what's interesting about it is, you know, these are business owners, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit ago. I think there's a set of strategies that are common to all businesses that we must follow. I mean, they're just what you've got to do. Yeah. So regardless of what your business is, you still have to apply those same principles. However, the uniqueness in the different businesses, the different cultures, and the different approaches is what I found to be extremely valuable in the Click Millionaire Mastermind side, in that how Marie, for instance, or how Connie, or how Tony has approached a problem that I'm having and experiencing right now. Their different perspective helps me to see it something, helps me to get out of my own way and then make progress. And like you said, it is nice that it is friendly. No one's there to rip anybody off or bash anybody, so that's always a win.
Right, there's no competition. I mean, if you're even in the same line of work, which is nice.
Yeah, that's right. And the idea of helping people and those different perspectives it's very, very valuable to me too. And I think that's one of the beauties of the internet and why I started the communities. The real value of their getting different perspectives. Nobody knows everything, and especially when we can communicate this easily together, it only makes sense to put everybody in one room essentially. And I always screw this up, but it's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, right? You put all those people together, and good things happen.
Absolutely. One thing I'd like to spend time on, because we don't talk about this that often, is really who you are. Because I think I'll never forget, I was standing in a Barnes & Noble next to a realtor who was trying to convince me to do some business thing with him, and I had picked up this book. Let me grab it. Sorry. I picked up this book, and I thought the author was this guy in a car at first.
Right.
But when I was reading it, I mean, everything that you put in there resonated. And then when I learned what your background was, where you came from, and then what you were now doing, I mean, to me, it just validated and confirmed. Well, this is a book I need to take home and read and learn more about this Scott Fox guy. So, for the folks who are listening to this right now, why don't you tell them a little bit about your background?
How far back do you want me to go?
It's up to you.
Yeah, you pick a jumping off point.
Whatever you want to share.
Well, I've been a busy guy for decades, so I'm not sure which part spoke to you the most, but
I think after you were doing the stock stuff.
Okay. I guess the important part is that I'm not a writer. I've written 3 books, but I'm a businessman. So I started writing books because I wanted to help people, and I know that sounds silly and sort of naive, but I give the profits from my books to charity, and I always have. I've made plenty of money on the internet. And I think there's a need for people that speak plain English and help regular people figure this stuff out. And Internet Riches was my first book, like Charles just showed there, in 2000. That came out in 2006. So I wrote that in 2004. And nobody, I mean, the publishing houses in New York, nobody wanted to hear about the internet at that point. And I had spent enough time in Silicon Valley. As you guys know, I went to grad school at Stanford, so I was there when a lot of this consumer internet stuff took off. And I knew that it was coming back and it was going to be bigger than ever. It was really hard to get that book published. And I wrote to regular people, and they thought that internet, if it existed and was valuable at all, it was for techies or for venture capitalists. But the fact is, the opportunity is for everybody. And that's what Internet Riches was about. It's how regular folks can get involved with this, so that, when your grandchildren turn to you and say, "What did you do, Grandpa or Grandma, during the internet revolution?" You don't say, "I worked 40 hours for this company and then I retired." You say, "I reached out and I took a piece of that, and now we have this." And that's the opportunity that everybody has. And you don't have to be techie, and you don't have to be a venture capitalist. You don't even have to have venture capital backing anymore. So all that came out of my personal background. Now I'm going to answer your question. My personal background was, I grew up in inner city Detroit without much money, and put myself through college, put myself through graduate school, I couldn't have done that without financial aid and scholarships, and I've always had a strong gene in myself to give back, because I couldn't be where I am without all that help. So Click Millionaires, the books, once I made it on Wall Street, as you know, and then I made it again in Silicon Valley, and I made it again in LA. I've tried different industries, and the internet every time has turned out to be the most, with the greatest potential, with the lowest risk, frankly. And as trained early as an investment banker, that's what you look for: low risk, high return. And I recommend the internet to everybody, and that's what the books are about. So that I don't have to do this. I do it because I think other people deserve to hear about this. And the people in Silicon Valley are so busy talking to each other and being so impressed with themselves that they miss the rest of the country, and frankly the rest of the planet. There's probably, pick a number, that's less than 1 million people in Silicon Valley who are really doing it, who are really IPO millionaires and all that. And that leaves 6 billion other people who deserve a bigger chance, and that's what the books are about, and that's why I write them. So I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to take just a second and talk to the folks who are watching this because again, Scott motivated us to take that leap, and there have been two incidences since 2008 that really confirmed that corporate America was not for us. I mean, we wanted to work together. We've been married since 1991, but had this passion to do something together from home. Our family had a health scare in 2010, which required us to be halfway around the country for 40 days. I don't know any employer that would have accommodated us at that time to be able to do that thing. But with Scott and some other folks, we took our leap and were positioned that when that moment came, it didn't hurt us. I mean, it was uncomfortable, yeah, but we were able to operate a business from the road and maintain an income that protected us, which, again, I don't know any employer that would have given us that opportunity. Or even just running a traditional style business without having a lot of the right tools in place. And at the time, it was just Linda and I. We would have been wiped out in a normal traditional business.
Yeah.
And then just recently, we've had another family medical crisis where Linda had to fly halfway around the country again and spend 30 days on the East Coast. And again, the resolve for that was that we've been able to maintain our business, do things that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to do, and through the power of just even hanging out, which is amazing. I mean, just thinking, I'm still boggled by the power of hanging out.
Yes.
Linda and I were able to talk several times a day, face to face, just like this, and make sure that business was still being taken care of. But more importantly, working on our relationship, because 3-hour time zone and different pressures and different distractions still cause pressure and anxiety. But the fact that we could do this was extremely important. So, again, if you desire to take that leap, I would encourage you to get started. Look up Click Millionaires, look up Scott Fox, read some of those books, but don't wait. Go for it. Because every day that you wait is just another day prolonging, whatever success you want to go after. So that's my bill for Scott Fox and for Click Millionaires.
Well, I think it's great. I mean, I know more than we're talking about here about the details of those medical situations, and I know how you're right. I mean, it's amazing you guys got through those, and I'm so glad you did, of course. But a regular job, you would have lost your jobs, right? And then you would have really been in trouble. My God, I mean, you were in enough trouble as it was, and then to have it happen twice, and it's not over either. All of our parents are getting older, and life happens, right? So that flexibility, I think, the longer I do this, the more I think that what we all really want isn't so much money, it's control. And money is a means to control, right? If you're rich, you do what you want, right? But it isn't really the money per se. We all like to have nice stuff, but it's about being able to organize your life the way you want to organize it and being able to take care of the things that you think are important. And that, even if you make a little less money as an internet person, you don't have a stock 401k and a health plan and all that stuff, the flexibility, I think, makes it, at least for me, a major difference. I've tried lots of corporate jobs, and they never quite work out as well as I'd hoped. And I'm just happier this way on a day-to-day level. And when stuff happens like what you're suggesting, absolutely it wins. My goodness, thank goodness you're Click Millionaires.
Looking back, we wouldn't have made any changes. Like I said, the only thing we regret is not doing it so much earlier and sooner.
Yeah, and when all that was going on, we had Click Millionaire members in the community reaching out to us, well wishes and all that, and that was huge. I mean, not that we just didn't think that would happen, so that was welcoming.
Yeah,
that's great. That's great. I'm glad that made a difference. We certainly were concerned about you guys, so I'm glad we're here today to keep doing this. Yeah, I had another thing I wanted to mention, actually, if you don't mind, was my first answer there was about finding a niche business, and I don't know if you guys have seen, but we just launched a new niche business identification checklist. It's on clickmillionaires.com now, and it's a free download. So if anybody is looking for that right wall to put their ladder against, there's a PDF now on the site that can be downloaded. You don't even have to be a member. I'm just giving it away. We're spreading it all over the web. And it's a 3-page checklist that you can use to evaluate your own business ideas. I think I have one here somewhere. Here, it looks like this. But this is a free download, and I don't know if that's helpful, but there's all these little boxes you can score different ideas, and this is in the book, and it's been really well received, but we did an even bigger version, and this has got years and years of my personal experience digested into how I look at businesses. And if you're trying to figure out an internet business for yourself, this is a free download that could be helpful to you. It's called the New Niche Business Identification Checklist. So that's free, and if that's topic is of interest to folks, then you're welcome to it. So I hope that's helpful.
I mean, that's huge. I'm sure that's a big challenge that most people, encounter. But I mean, what do you think that the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs and small businesses have today?
Well, I think it's around that topic of like, where do we point our efforts? We talked about, my interests and the audience's need enough to pay for it. And that's the big step, right? You got to point the battleship this way. Even if you're only 10 degrees off, you can go way off course, right? So you got to point the battleship in the right direction. And that checklist, I think, could really help people because you can use it to compare different ideas. That's often the hard part is once you start having ideas, you've got 5 of them. And then what do you do, right? And this will help you rank them. But then the next piece is what we were talking about just before we came on the air is how do you get going? Because so many people want to go spread all their they get some social media consultant gets a hold of them or something, right? And they want to go and start Facebooking and Twittering or a blog. They want to do all this stuff in publishing, and you got to figure out what the right, and here's my answer, the right format for you. What's the format you want to use? And this checklist helps you think that through too. So you might say, well, I really like classic cars, so it's going to be something about cars, and I know people need more parts, so I need parts for classic Corvettes. But even that, is it going to be a blog? Is it going to be a store? Is it going to be a podcast? Are you going to have the world's biggest Twitter account about that? Do you want to do a bunch of hangouts like this or a YouTube channel? All those format questions are important because you need to figure out what the customers want, and then you also need to figure out what you want to do. Like if you're really shy, you probably don't want to start a YouTube channel, right? You're just going to hate your job again, and that's not the point. So I think format is the niche first, and then format is the next big one.
Yeah, one of the things in a different group that we had talked about, and this, I mean, it's the Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle group. Everyone knows Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer and Dan Kennedy. First day with the new brain, trying to still work it out. But they talk about market, message, and media, which is exactly what you're saying. Know your market, know your niche. What's your message? How are you going to convey it to somebody so it resonates with them? And then what media are you going to use to get there? Yep. For us, I often joke with folks that we are now recovering social media consultants because that's really where that was an appeal to us and an attraction.
Well, I think it was for everyone. Well, it was new.
Yeah, I call it more of a distraction than an attraction now looking back on it. But it's changed so much, like we were talking about. Strategies are still extremely important, and I don't think they ever went away, but we got distracted with social media for a while that everyone had to have a Facebook page, and then you had to have a profile first, then pages came around, then LinkedIn, then all these other things came in, and it was almost like we took our eyes off what we were doing and we went to go play with all these other things. Right. I still think social media is important, but it's simply one of the tools that's in the toolbox. Yeah, not the strategy itself.
Yeah, just like you were saying, Scott.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's you've got to know where you're going and then pick the right tools to get there. I think
right.
That's exactly right.
And with marketing itself, one of the things that I think one of our philosophies is marketing won't necessarily fix a problem. It could be. I mean, if they're not, if no one knows about you and you've got solid business systems in place, well then clearly obscurity is something that a hurdle you need to clear.
Yeah.
And you probably could, at a low cost, get that taken care of by using social media. However, most of the folks that we talk to in a consulting capacity today, it's not always about their marketing. There's some, they don't have systems, they don't have processes in place. So if you launch a social media campaign, the only thing it does is it exasperates that symptom and magnifies the problem. And it can run you into bigger problems even that much quicker because now you've got leads or prospects coming in, but those processes aren't in place in which to take care of those things.
I think you're right. I think you're onto something there. I think your new consulting approach is right on because you look at all those tools. The funny thing is if you start using them and it goes well, you'll just get overwhelmed, right? So it really is about systems. I agree. And how do you scale things, and how can you automate as much of this as possible while still being human and friendly, so that you can build trust and relationships. But all these tools, they'll rise up to crush you. You know, if you're good blogging and podcasting and YouTubing and Facebooking and tweeting, it's just like, whoa, you got nothing left, right? So I agree with you completely. I think that you're onto something there with that systems approach.
Well, you know, you talked about video just a little bit ago, and I know it's, again, it's got to be the right media for the right folks, but I'm really taken with video, only because this is something that we talked about a long time ago in Click Millionaires, when you encouraged all of us to put our faces on our stuff, because people want to do business with people.
Right.
And, you know, that it doesn't take long to sit with that and think, you know, that absolutely makes sense. I would rather know who's behind the scenes, who's behind that business, just because, you know, we're still doing business with people. For me, video makes a whole lot of sense, because we can capture the spirit or the passion of a moment or a topic or whatever it is, and, you know, put it out there so that it's 24/7, 365. Even if it's just something as simple as you know, if you've got a product in your business and you want to do a how-to video, very helpful, and people can find you doing those things and step through those. But, you know, along the same lines, this is one of the reasons why we're putting this series together. Is I think it's easier, it's more consumable to listen to a video and participate that way than it is to read the 1,500 word tome that would be put together. And, you know, what I would do is probably read the first paragraph, the top of the next sentence, scroll to the bottom. If nothing jumps out of it, I might bookmark it with every intention to come back to it, but, you know, it doesn't happen.
Game over. Yeah, I agree with you. You know, they said picture's worth 1,000 words. I guess that makes video 1,000,000 words, right?
At least.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the emotion and the humor comes through a lot easier. I'm a decent writer. I've written 3 books. I guess I'm a writer, but when I talk to people, they get more interested, and it communicates a lot more. Just the rise of your voice, the emotion, the volume, the look on your face. I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that video is still a big opportunity for all of us, especially as people are consuming more and more on tablets and on their mobiles. You know, this little screen here. You want to make sure you're formatted for this little stuff. And people are consuming this on the subway, waiting for the bus, whatever, and it's creating a whole new market. But there's still lots and lots of opportunity in video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And to that point, I don't think we've even scratched the surface, because I go back to, again, the last 30 days when Linda was gone, we communicated through our I'm not giving a pitch to Samsung, but these S3s are absolutely amazing, by the way. I felt like Dick Tracy, because it's the closest thing I came to being on my watch and talking to it. But we communicated face to face via these little phones.
Yeah, amazing.
We did an interview a little while ago, and the funny thing is, I had my Nikon camera set up, and I had my Samsung set up doing the same interview.
Right.
At the end of the day, now that's not a cheap camera, but it wasn't very expensive. At the end of the day, we used the video from the phone because it was superior to the camera.
No kidding. Wow.
So, you know, one of the things that we do now is if we're ever out anywhere, we're working with a client or just at an event, try to grab a testimonial, try to grab, you know, something that you know, immortalizes that moment and use it. So I can't tell you how much video we've taken recently just to put things up, because I think people engage with it. Like you said, we've coined the phrase, the face language is extremely important.
Face language. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I buy it for sure. Yeah, that's great. Well, I think you're on the right track there. Smart stuff.
So I don't want to just, you know, have to drag this out any longer, because you know I could talk for hours and hours and hours. But what do you have on the horizon right now? What do people need to be on the lookout for Scott Fox or Click Millionaires? What's coming up?
Well, there's always more going on in the forum, as you know. I'll be happy to have everybody come on over there. This niche business checklist, here it is. This is a big deal, I think. I mean, I've seriously considered releasing this as an ebook and trying to sell it, because sometimes people just take things more seriously if you sell them, you know, even if it was like $1.99 or as a Kindle short or something. But of course, giving it away, I'm hoping people will share it. This is the hard part to me. I've got decades now of business training and and experience making money online, and the thought process that I have, and I didn't do this by myself, but the beginning of this, it comes from my own experience. How do you think about business ideas? And most people simply don't have the training. And even if they do have some of the training, they don't have the confidence. And going from nothing to something is the hardest part when you're a new entrepreneur, as you guys know, right? You've talked to hundreds, probably thousands of people over the last few years who talk about it and never actually do it. And the doing it is really hard for people. And this can be a valuable aid to thinking about you got to have the idea. I'm not giving you the ideas, although we'd be happy to brainstorm with you on the forum, as you guys well know. But once you have an idea, this will help you think about, like, if you can see this, market analysis, my lifestyle goals, revenue opportunities, operations, strategy. I mean, thinking about these different things and ranking them all on 1 through 5, you can actually generate a number and say, well, this idea only has a score of 47, but this idea has a score of 86. Okay, now I'm confident about what to do and why I'm doing it. And I think that's a big deal for people. And anyway, I'm excited about it. So that's what's on my mind. I think people should download this and use it. It's got a lot of, it's worth money, and we're giving it away for free. So how's that?
I will confirm that we downloaded it, talked about it, didn't actually go through the exercise yet, but we will. And I'll make, as long as we have your permission, we'll put a link on the site so that they can actually go directly to that download. Or do you want to just go to the page?
No, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll do that.
Out there to help people. So yeah, that's what's on my mind today anyway. And we're doing a lot of stuff on the forum, and we're like I said, we give the money to charity from the books, and I've just picked a new scholarship winner for a young woman we're going to help go to college next year. I haven't announced that yet, so that'll be on the site soon. Yeah, I don't know, just this and that, plenty more. There's a podcast tomorrow. Yeah, I always got something going on.
Right on. So again, those who are listening, if you've been thinking about starting a business, or you have started a business and just not getting the results that you anticipated or expected, I encourage you to visit clickmillionaires.com, look up Scott Fox, grab any one of his 3 books, and you can see them in the background of Scott right here. You can see Click Millionaires, you can see Internet Riches, and you can see E-Riches 2.0.
Right.
I've read all 3 of them. I've read a couple of them more than once. And I would encourage you to do the same thing, and check out the forums. There are just a plethora of helpful folks that have real-world experiences that will share the same things with you. It helped us to make take our launch, and here we are again today, still doing things online and growing our business. And there's so much more that could be said, but again, I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to simply this: go take action for change.
There you go. Well said.
Thinking about it, not doing anything is going to continue to prolong the agony that you have in whatever job that you hate right now. So take action for change.
Yeah, see you at the Click Millionaires Forum.
Right, right. Right, take action for change. I'm with you on that. Well, very well said. Well, thanks for having me. It's very generous of you to share this airtime. Thanks.
Hey, well, we'd love having you, and maybe we'll do this again sometime in the future.
Sure, anytime. Anytime.
Right. Appreciate your time.
Thanks again, Scott.
You bet. My pleasure. See you guys soon in the forum.
All right.